Good afternoon from me too. Hello, greetings from Thessaloniki, Greece. I'm Dr. Rosy. This is our last session, but I wouldn't dare to say that we saved the best for last, because every single presentation in this video conference was extremely interesting, just like those that we're gonna hear and see in this session. Let me say what we're gonna hear this next hour. The first session is from Mr. Vassil Markov, Mr. Alexander Portalski, and Mrs. Dimitria Spasova from the Southwest University Neofit Rilski in Bulgaria, entitled as Ancient Rock-Cut Monuments from Western Anatolia and Southeastern Bulgaria. The presentation coming up will be read out by me, is from Hristo Preshlenov from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences in Bulgaria, and the presentation's title is Doric Architectural Order in the Southwestern Black Sea Area. And the last presentation of this international video conference is from Dimitrina Kanazireva from Varna Medical University, who is not attending personally, but her presentation will be also read out by me, and its title is Genetic Disorders in Roman Mosaics, an example from southeastern Thrace, and she's mentioning in Bulgaria. So let's begin with the first session. I see Mrs. Spasova is here. Who else from the first session is here? Mr. Markov, Portalski, can you begin?
Actually, I will read the first session.
Oh, okay.
Also, my name is Anton.
Hello, yes, I've seen you. Do us the honor, please.
So, I will share the presentation now. Just 1 second. So, is it visible, the first slide?
Yes.
Yes, it's visible. Okay. So, I hope you don't mind to stop the video to save traffic for better connection. I will stop the video screen now.
Yes.
And we'll continue. Okay. My name is Anton Genov. I will present a paper named Ancient Rock-Cut Monument from southwestern Bulgaria and their parallels in western Anatolia. Some rock-cut monuments is dealing mostly with the rock-cut monuments and the rock sanctuaries in the Balkans have a numerous parallel in Anatolia. Examples include numerous rock-carved sacrificial pits, pools, stairs, rocks, arches, and many others. Here the monumental anthropomorphic faces will be mainly presented. Generally, they can be divided into male and female characters. Definitely, the most interesting group is the one of the female stone faces. Among them, the biggest interest has been roused by the monumental female faces located on the right bank of the river Mesta at the south entrance of the Momin Prohod, which can be translated as maiden pass or virgin passage. The place is situated in the eastern part of a huge rock situated in the area. It is about 10 meters high and it faces east. If you look at it from the north, you can clearly see a human face in profile. It's visible the forehead, nose, and the artificially cut head. The head is covered with a head kerchief, which resembles very much a head cloth of the great goddess Kubaba from the image known from the Hittite art. What is specific about our monument is definitely the huge size of the image. This is the picture. You can see it on the presentation. The nose is visible and also the head kerchief. What is specific about this monument is definitely the huge size of the image. There is, in the place, there is preserved a demiurgical legend. It's a folklore about that rock. It is preserved in people's mind, in people's memory. It says that it was a harvest time. Once upon a time, a young woman was cradling her baby. She had to change the baby's diapers, and as she didn't have what to clean the baby with, she took some of the wheat ears from the stack and used them. It was a big sin, and bread was desecrated. The Lord got angry and petrified the woman and everything around her. The stack of sheaves became a rock, and the wheat next to it turned into large earthen known. They can be seen now near the river on the land near the village of Bukovo. It can be definitely supposed, however, that it is an image, an artifact from the mythology dedicated to the great mother goddess. In that connection, there is a remarkable parallel with another similar place. It is the rock named the Girl in Selska Planina, near the village of Selce. It's a prilep region in nowadays northern Macedonia, where there is a monumental profile of a face which finished on the high protruded rock over the area. I should especially point out head cloth on the hair, which resemble very much the one of the monumental female face in the Momin Prohut, which we speak before in Bulgaria. According to the local legend, Maiden was petrified, but this time it was because of her mother curse. Monumental anthropomorphic silhouettes on sanctuaries in Momin Pass and in Selska Mountain find in a good parallel in the three human silhouettes from the sanctuary of Kibela in ancient Pukea, today Eskifu Pocha. They are located in the highest part of the central hill. Several monumental rock stairs lead to them, and more pictures from that place. Call that figures. They are mostly natural figures, but some of them have a carvings. In one of them is the niches with image of Kibela, the ancient goddess Kibela. Equally interesting are some male faces in a megalithic sanctuaries in Bulgaria, like this one. Among them, first we should point out the monumental stone face that appeared as coming out of the rock in the megalithic sanctuary named Gradišćetu, near the village of Dolno Trianovo, Goce Delchev region, Bulgaria. The method to join the monumental sacred image with the rock probably is not accidental, and in semantic aspect, it should suggest the connection between the mythological character and the rock. There is a parallel that we can find, for example, in the Hittite-Hurrian mythology, in the face of the giants like Ulikumi, and indirectly in ancient Greek mythology, in the face of the giant Anteus, whose strength come from the earth. In representational aspect, same style to show the mythological character as coming out of the rock can be seen in the megalithic gates of the capital city of the as well as in the gates in the Hittite settlement of Alajaki. So it's visible, this artistic solution in the religious art of the Hittites was achieved when the sculptors were skilled enough in making relief and high relief and freestanding sculpture. It's obvious to us that the images of lions and sphinxes shown as coming out of the monumental rocks. This intended device to suggest a link between those mythological characters and the deified rocks. This tradition, which probably precedes the Hindu ritualization in the Balkan Anatolia region, and it should be connected with the Hethians, Anatolians, and with the pre-Thracian period on the Balkans, marked by the late Chalcolithic civilization in the eastern part of peninsula, known mainly as the archaeological culture Varna. Such is the earliest dating of the archaeological finds from the megalithic sanctuary of Dolno Dryanovo with a male head, which was visible. Here we also should mention, just 1 second, that the monument male faces in Dolno Dryanovo is a part of a whole gallery of proto-sculptures.
To tak jakby nie do tego było.
Może tu w ogóle masz wgrane.
Co mam grane?
Mikrofon masz podłączony mikrofon.
Ale tak słuchawki powinienem mieć.
Tylko trzeba to powiedzieć, że chcesz słuchać przez słuchawki.
Nie, to się powinno...
Excuse me, Anton, please turn off your microphones, please. Turn off your microphones. I think Mr. Portalski, turn off your microphones. We must hear Mr. Anton. Sorry, Mr. Anton, please continue.
So there is many other natural rocks which represent some interesting figure, and everything is included in area which archaeologically is evidence like a sanctuary. So there is escharas, there is a lot of fireplaces, there is a lot of broken pottery, smashed pottery in the area. So we have archaeological evidence that around these natural rock structures, which look like a human faces, there is a lot of materials which shown to us that the people gathering around them and perform some rituals. So they're mostly connected with the Thracian cultures, but they start from the Chalcolithic era. The earliest evidence starts from the Chalcolithic era. So we can think that we are dealing with the open-air megalithic temple dedicated to some local goddess, one of which is the Thracian Dionysus. The god was thought of as a chthonic character, born by the rocks from his mother Semela. And with regard to this, he is presented as he was coming.
Jak ja nie słyszę, nie wiemy dlaczego.
Wiemy dlaczego. Dlatego, że tu, tylko ja nie znam tego komputera. Ja nie wiem gdzie. Chodziło o to, żeby cię słyszeli. I tutaj gdzieś musisz przyłączyć słuchawki, wiesz? Gdzieś jest audio, tylko ja nie...
Ale to w ogóle nie pasuje do tego.
Wiesz co, możliwe, że ty masz tutaj już słuchawki i mikrofon. Najwyraźniej masz, bo jak myśmy mówili, to wszystko było słychać. Dlatego poprosiła pana profesora Polańskiego, żeby wyłączył.
We will be glad if you.
Ja nie wiem, gdzie tu masz. Mówiłam ci, żeby rano to zobaczyć.
Some information about Focha and ancient Sofia, some archaeological evidence, some papers, and if you know some similar places.
I tu trzeba, tylko ja nie wiem,
I know papers which tell us, especially that in the Hittite culture, that the whole monumental mountain peaks and the mountain itself was deified. So thank you for attention. Waiting for questions.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting. Please turn off your microphones. We have to hear everybody who is going to do a presentation. Even though we heard you, I found it really interesting. Is there anybody that has any questions or something to add? I will ask something. Is there in the internet something like this from you that we can reach? Because I would be very interesting to read even more about that.
Yes, we have a lot of publication, especially on that face, which is visible on the area.
Okay.
It's made like a touristic attraction now, and we have archaeological excavation. We have a publication on it, and it's interesting because it is both field of survey of archaeologists and also interesting for the ethnograph, because the local people, which are Muslims, made the healing rituals exactly on that place. So we have a continuity on that place. So the belief of sacred places preserves in some kind. We don't know how it survived in the time, but it's fact that the local people believe that the place is sacred. But unfortunately, when it became a touristic attraction, the locals stopped to believe and stopped to go there for healing. So yes, but it's an archaeological object, and the sacred fireplace, the Schara, is almost behind the head, almost up on the head was found.
And I can find it in academia, for example, or if I Google your names and this, I will find it.
Yes, maybe the name Vassil, Markov, and Anton Genov, and you will find, and from the bibliography, you can find the other articles on that place.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really intriguing. Congratulations.
Actually, it's very near Greece. It's very near the border, so
I know. Yes.
Also.
I have been to Cappadocia for 4 months with an Asia Minor program with Boston Holy Cross and University in New Jersey, Stockton, but I didn't go there. I will, I promise. Now you have intrigued me. Congratulations again. So anybody, any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
You say that you made archaeological surveys there. So your dating of early Chalcolithic period, is it based on your archaeological findings?
Yes, it is. Actually, I'm not the part of the archaeological excavation. I'm working on a publication of other colleagues which excavate that place. So the earliest layer is a late Chalcolithic. So we have evidence, we have a publication, and mostly the Thracian period is found around this head, this human face, mostly the Thracian period. The Chalcolithic is a bit lower. It's a bit lower on that place, but it is on it, right?
So it can be actually Thracian period, these faces.
Actually, the faces is natural. It's mainly natural structure, but it's how to say, it's the reason to be deified that place. It's the reason to gathering people around. So that is our hypothesis. Such a significant natural rock structure are how to say, very important for the local, and they gathering there to perform their rituals.
So do you think these rock carvings are actually not carvings, but natural phenomena?
We have both. We have the natural phenomena first, and around them we have the carving, the man-made carving, like circles, like cup marks, and other rock cut monuments. So the rock was worked after that. It was carved by the humans. It's very typical to date the carvings, but around them we find pottery, we find a schara, it's a fireplace. So it's dateable.
So the faces are natural,
Yeah,
other
yeah.
things artificial.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
But
you.
around it, we have a lot of pottery, a lot of marking on the rock, so like rock art, a lot of stuff around it.
Thank you.
And typical periodization of such a rock cut sanctuary show that they start to be used for the first time of the late Chalcolithic. And mainly they growed during the Thracian period, during the Bronze Age. We have hiatus between both, but they're covered, they're used after that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I see Mrs. Spasova provided us a link. You can find it at the comments. Thank you very much. It would be also very useful. Any more questions, or should we continue? Perhaps something you like to add, Mr. Anton? Or are you okay for now?
I'm okay if there's no question.
Maybe we could read more about what you told us, and then we will invite you to another conference so that we can ask you more questions.
It will be a pleasure for me. Thank you.
It was our pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, everybody, for this. So, Mr. Lovely, could we begin showing the next presentation?
That would be great if you can. If you're not sort of bored to read, and if you feel sort of ready to read, why don't you?
I found it really interesting. As every single presentation, I should mention that every presentation.
Great to know. Yeah, so why don't you go for it and then just read those two papers out to the people? Why don't you do that?
Okay. Will you show the slides?
Well, yeah, exactly. I'll be just okay. I'll be assisting you then. I'll be assisting you. Let me just find it first. What? Right here. The first one was Kanazireva. I think the Bulgarian.
No, I think it's Preshlenov, but you can start.
Sorry about that. Yes, I found it. Yeah, I just found it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just show you right away. That's very easy. Let me just.
Is Mr. Preshlenov and Mrs. Kanazireva okay?
Yes, there we go.
No?
Yeah, this is Hristo Preshlenov.
Preshlenov, okay. He would talk about the Doric order of architecture along the southwestern Black Sea area. It's really interesting too. He would talk about us, about the subject of the case study. I cannot. Yes, okay, I see it now. Are the unpublished results of rescue excavation in the 1960s of two temples in the region, these of Apollo in Odysseus and Zeus Hypergexios in Mesembria, which now can be reconstructed as a prostyle in Antis with a one, the Apollo temple, and two-sided, the Zeus temple, orientation of the naos and pronaos, emphasized by a portico with two columns, widespread compositions of the temple space in the Pontic area. The correlations between the width of the bases and of the front facades, the length of the pronaos and the preserved length of the naos are inherent in the frontal composition view for a direct visual impact of the exterior. The known dimensions of the plan and the architectural elements of the temples are in accordance with the modular ratio of the two-column diastyles in Antis described by Vitruvius. The proportion of the short facade formed a ratio typical in Hellenistic construction practices. Yes. In this hypothetical architectural order, the temples have been composed not earlier than the beginning of the 3rd century BC, when the capitals and columns for its front facade have been made. The temples have been destroyed to its foundation no later than the beginning of the 5th century AD, during the construction of Christian basilica.
Okay, let me just show you the second slide. It's not only one slide, it's a lot of slides.
I think Mrs. Kanazireva has more.
Well, it's only, I would say 9 in total, so it's not really boring. And it's nice that a Greek person is reading it, because we have really bad pronunciation of all those things. So we learn it from you.
Although your Greek pronunciation was not bad too.
Yeah, you think?
You can, perhaps you should hear me talk in Turkish, and then you will laugh.
So here you go.
Okay. What about Apollo's temple in Dionysos? During the rescue excavations in Varna under the direction of Milko Mirchev from Archaeological Museum in Varna in 1963, on the sea terrace north of the antique and nowadays ports, substructures have been revealed over a rectangular building with north-northeast orientation. Doric columns, as you can see in the photos, and capitals of the beginning, the first half of the 3rd century BC, parts of columns with a smooth surface, profiled bases, cornices, plate chancel with embossed rosettes, impost capital with a monogram of the first half of 6th century AD.
Good. So let me just read.
Now, the first lower drum of the Dorian column find in situ a Doric capital redeployed inside the building and found near it a decree in the honor of Menogenes, a strategist of Sadalas II, archived at the temple of Apollo between 45-42 to 42 before Christ, are among the investigators' reason to admit that the building has been built in a Doric order and has been associated with the Apollo's cult. The foundations of the temple are made of hewn stones. On them, a row of stone blocks is laid to form the stylobate of the short facades and the plinth of the side of the walls. The locations of the two middle columns on the stylobate of the north facade are established. The lower drum of one of them, diameter 94 centimeters, is found at 2.25 meters from the northwest corner of the building. You can see the photo. The north foundation of this temple has a length of 9 meters and thickness 1.25 meters. As its west edge, it forms a right angle with the base of the west facade, which has the same thickness and its length is over 13 meters. From the base of the east wall, a section of 5.50 meters is preserved. The base of the 1.27 meter thick north wall of the naos is revealed at 2.50 meters south of the north facade. The radius of the lower drum of the column found in C2 may be the designing module plus minus 47 centimeters of the temple. On the 3 architrave beams, there is space for a frieze with a total of 8 triglyphs and 7 metopes, and a length of plus minus 80.70 meters calculated by the module. Perhaps this is the value of the outer width of the temple above the bases. The central intercolumnium should be plus minus 2.60 meters wide, and the lateral ones plus minus 1.20 meters wide. The two columns between the ante have a height of plus minus 6 meters estimated by the module, the shapeliness of 1 to 6.5, and conicity of about 80%. The total reconstructed height of the temple to the ridge of the pediment is plus minus 9 meters. It is in proportion to the width in substructure 100 to 103. The inclination of the two-slope roof of the temple is plus minus 15 degrees.
So just
I think now we're going to
I am trying
talk about the other, the other temple, Zeus temple in Mesembria. Well, in the years 1958 to 1963, Lyuba Onyenova Marinova from National Archaeological Institute with Museum, Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, explores the remains of a temple in Doric order. You can see the photographs, situated on the northwest slope of Nesebar Peninsula, east of the North Diatichisma, and south of the fortress wall of Mesembria. In the layer between the remains of the temple and the fortress wall, a Doric capital with the engraved Zeus hyperdexios dedication is found. Its height along within the plinth is approximately 22 centimeters. In terms of style, it dates from the early Hellenistic period, while the paleography related to the 3rd century before Christ.
Yeah. I'm just trying to do this.
We're waiting.
Yeah, sorry, there you go. There you go.
Okay. Well, please take a look at the pictures too. During the research, parts of the foundations of the north and south walls of the temple are excavated. The constructions of the foundations, 65 centimeters thick, is regular without mortar. Massive, roughly shaped blocks are used. The researcher reports that have found squared blocks and parts of Doric columns scattered in the deposited layers, as well as a frieze block integrated into the south wall of a medieval grave from 10th to 11th century AD, which has been built in the naos of early Christian basilica. The frieze block is 69 centimeters long and 33 centimeters high. The width of its two triglyphs, 22 centimeters, contain the design module plus minus 22 centimeters approximately of the build. The outer now length of the temple is plus minus 12.60 meters, and its width at the foundations is approximately 6 meters. Having in mind the established opisthodromus or pronaos depth of 2.45 meters, in case there has been symmetry in the plan composition, the naos of the temple must have been rectangular with a length of plus minus 5.30 meters. And as Mr. Hristo would close his presentations, he shows us some sketches and says, for a building module of plus minus 22 centimeters approximately, it's calculated outside with above the foundations plus minus 5.80 meters differs by 0.86% of its value based on the length of the front frieze decoration and the established width at the foundations plus minus 5.85 meters of the building. The central intercolumnium should be plus minus 1.45 meters wide, and the lateral ones plus minus 1.34 meters. The height of the columns should be plus minus 3.01 meters. Their slenderness minus 1 to 7 at the scale. The proportion of the rectangle around the facade formed by the ratio between calculated height plus minus 4.58 meters and the width is 100 to 128. The slope of the pediment of Zeus temple following that of its gable roof is plus minus 14.5 degrees. Most of these values are very close to those obtained in the sizing of a temple in Antis in a Doric order built in Myrmikion, North Black Sea, at the end of the 4th, beginning of the 3rd century BC. And that's all. It was really an eye-opener, this. Really interesting. I wish we could have him here to ask him some questions. Maybe we do have some questions from the crowd and somebody has to add or answer something. I don't know. Personally, I will look further, but if you do have something to say it now or we will go further.
Well, you have done an amazing job, though. Well, Claire would like to ask something. Sorry.
Yes.
It was just to say bravo.
The bravo is to Mr. Hristo.
But the Greek words were so many, so you just pronounce them so well, and we learned how we should pronounce them. Because if you will see how I teach these things to my students, you will be like sort of, you will feel I'm damaging Greek language.
You learn from me, I learn from you. That's the way it goes.
Oh, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. My Greek is no good. I should learn. I should learn better.
I'll test you after this. Can we hear you, Miss Claire? You wanted to ask something? Oh, no, okay. So I think we shall proceed.
Okay, should I share the other one, Rosy? Should
yes.
I share the, okay, I'll do it right now.
The other one is from a doctor, the presentation.
Exactly. Very interesting paper, though. I like it.
Yes, I liked it too. It's so good because, you know, interdisciplinary studies, when we hear that, we only think that it involves humanities. But Ms. Kanazireva shows us that it's not only this. Humanities and medical studies too.
That's true.
Okay. Her paper has the title Genetic Disorders in Roman Mosaics, an example from southeastern Thrace, Bulgaria. So let's, okay. In 1964, near the Bulgaria city Ivailograd, Hristo province, you can see the map, during reservoir construction, archaeological excavations discovered well-preserved remains. I hear something. Please. Sorry.
Don't worry.
Please mute your microphone, please.
What? Okay. Who is the naughty one? Anyway, I will continue. Well, at the Hristo province, During reservoir construction, archaeological excavations discovered well-preserved remains of an ancient Roman villa, now known as Villa Armira, one of the largest and most richly decorated ancient Roman villas unearthed in Bulgaria. The location of the villa in ancient times is identified as Roman Provincia Thracia, Territorium Hadrianopolis. It has been used for more than 300 years. Okay. The next, please, Mr. Lafley. Okay. Well, I don't see very clear, but I will try to read it. Well, Villa Armira is situated 4 kilometers southwest of Cappadocia. It is named after the Armira River, a minor tributary of Arda in Greece. The villa dates back to the second half of the 1st century Anatolia, and originally has belonged to a noble of Roman Thrace, who is thought to have been the owner of the surrounding area, a really large area, as you're going to see. We go to the next, please. Okay, the two-story U-shaped villa, see this and hear this, spreads over 3,600 square meters amidst a garden with an impluvium in the middle. Villa Armira has 22 separate rooms on the ground floor alone, in addition to a panorama terrace. In the 3rd century AD, Villa Armira has been expanded eastward with a triclinium and a hypocausto. Okay. The entire ground floor is covered in elaborately decorated white marble. The floor mosaics display features typical of ancient Roman art, some geometric and some depicting animals and plants. A common theme in the villa's decoration is the Gorgon Medusa, Gorgona, Mr. Lafi. This is the largest mosaic find in Bulgaria in terms of quantity and variety, exceeding in volume all other mosaics discovered in today's Bulgarian lands. Now let's see what was the thing that intrigued Mrs. Kanazireva. One of the mosaics in the master's chambers attracts special attention. It depicts the 2nd century AD owner with his 2 children. These are the only Roman period mosaic portraits to be discovered in Bulgaria. The pictures are so vivid and realistic that one can get good knowledge of the anthropomorphic characteristics of the people of that time. We will see this mosaic later again. So, please proceed. Yes. The figures of the 2 children that you will later see again are in full height, and the first thing one can see is that they both have mild but noticeable legs deformities. That on the left has genu varum, meaning bow legs, and the other one genu valgus, meaning knock knees. You will see it again. Being a medical person, says Mrs. Kanazireva, she focused on the mosaics, thinking about possible, yes, you can see it again. The left and the right with the knees, bow legs and knock knees. Bow legs at the left, at the right knee. Yes. Well, Ms. Kanazireva focused on these mosaics, thinking about possible medical conditions which may explain these deformities. The first guess was that the children may have suffered vitamin D deficiency, which developed rickets, as we say, rachitis, as there are evidences that rickets has been seen in ancient times. And she also says that researchers from Historic England and Macaster University in Canada have examined 2,787 skeletons from 18 cemeteries across the Roman Empire and discovered that rickets was a widespread phenomenon 2,000 years ago. Now you can see the children again, but Mrs. Kanazireva, as the doctor said, that the detailed evaluation shows that they share a number of common dysmorphic features which are not consistent with the presentations of the rickets. Disproportionate dwarfism, meaning short stature, with rhizomelic shortening of the limbs, normal trunk length, large head with prominent forehead, and small mid-face with a flattened nasal bridge, together with leg deformities. All this refers us to the diagnosis of a rare genetic disorder, achondroplasia. A Greek word, yes. Achondroplasia is a rare genetic disorder, the incidence varying from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 30,000 live births, with more than 250,000 people affected worldwide. The achondroplasia phenotype exists for thousands of years as evidenced in the artifacts of many different cultures. And she gives us two examples. One of the earliest biologic evidence of dwarfism from ancient Egypt. And as you can see at the picture, from the Tumaco La Tolita culture, which existed on the border of present-day Colombia and Ecuador zone. Achondroplasia remains the most readily recognizable of the dwarfing disorders. The term has been first used in the 19th century, and the main features are described shortly thereafter. Detailed and specific radiologic and clinical features, Ms. Kanazireva says, that are carefully designed by Langer et al., Professor Langer, I believe. Achondroplasia, this is a hereditary disorder inherited in autosomal dominant pattern condition and transmitted from an affected parent to his children with 50% probability, which is consistent with the fact that both children are affected. Though pedigree data are not available in the presented case, she doesn't know, she says, whether one of the parents is also affected. She can suggest that the disorder in the two children is either inherited in the classical autosomal dominant pattern or inherited as a result of gonadal mosaicism in one parent. So she speaks as a doctor now. Achondroplasia is caused by a mutation in fibroblast growth receptor 3 gene. The FGFR3 protein enables the cell to respond to external stimuli such as growth factors, interact with growth factors outside the cell, and receive signals for growth and development. Gene mutations cause a disorder in which bone tissue does not develop properly, especially the long bones of the arms and legs, resulting in short stature with a normal sized torso and short limbs. It's the most common type of disproportionate dwarfism. Now, again, she compares the ancient mosaic image and now this patient with achondroplasia. You can see the similarities and why she is intrigued. The artifacts found in Villa Armira, along with their huge historical and art value, says Mrs. Kanazireva, give us also the huge, the unique chance to trace this particular disorder back in time and find out that ancient people have been affected by hereditary diseases preserved in the DNA until recently. And then she gives a special yellow rose to the organizers of the conference, and it is as if I can smell it from here. I believe it was very interesting. Is there any? I learned a lot. I will find some more details about that. I don't know if someone has to add anything about this.
Just a comment.
Yes.
I was very, very interested in this presentation, and thank you for reading it with such enthusiasm.
It was my honor. Thank you.
And I am very interested because as historians and archaeologists, we are all very interested in this connection and collaboration with hard sciences like medicine or petrography. And I think in the future, we will use more and more these sorts of data. And there is a fashion now in science and in archaeology with environmental studies. And I think we will much more work in environmental studies and medical studies all together, and it will be very good for us, for history. And
yes, I do anticipate it to become more accustomed. I think this is how we ended now, right, Mr. Lovely?
Well, Rosy, first of all, thank you very much. I mean, the way you read is just amazing. We learned a lot from your pronunciation, especially the last word that I cannot even repronounce again, because I think this is the antro. What was that? The
achondroplasia.
Yeah, I think is this a word that you use in Greece a lot or something, or because this is my first time that I hear it actually. Never heard it.
To be honest with you, I also study. Well, I am a historian. I am a psychologist. I studied submerged archaeology, but I now study to be an assistant in a pharmacy because I too am an olive oil producer, and I want to do something with my olive oil. It's biological, and I study anatomy, and everything is in English. And now I can see that many words that are concerning diseases or you know, something in the human body have Greek origin.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
Ophthalmology, for example, is for the eye, ophthalmos, you know.
Yes, so you're lucky with your language.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. In that case.
because my sister is a medical doctor. She's an assistant professor and in anesthesia and reanimation, and she has a better clue than me in terms of terminology, Greek terminology and Latin terminology, of course, the bones and all the organs and everything. So you guys, you're lucky with your language.
Miss Claire or Mrs. Claire, we should tell Mr. Lovely's sister to come help us and make a conference with archaeologists and medical doctors.
Well, that's true. But Rosy, I gotta tell you, sometimes I get invitation by medical doctors because they are such smart people. They put an archaeologist or an historian at the beginning of a conference, an international conference, as an ouverture of the conference, of the whole thing. So I am the one who goes there and then just do this ouverture with a sort of a lecture. And this time we are finalizing an archaeological symposium with a medical doctor. So it's just, you know, it functions in an opposite way. But you have read it very good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, so we are coming to the end. That's right. So would you like to say something for the end, or anybody else?
Well, I would say that it was an eye-opener, every single presentation of this conference. I am really honored to be part of this, even this way. I'm so happy to see you even like this. I hope that we could all meet after the quarantines in some lectures and symposiums face-to-face and talk. But I will definitely search for you and read your papers.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Hopefully see each other in Selanik, in Thessaloniki, or in Izmir, hopefully in one day. Next year, we're hoping to organize the next conference. Yes.
It's so good.
Yes, maybe in Izmir with an excursion to Rhodes, but it works out with the computer, with the digital very well, actually, more or less. So I would like to maybe ask to the people if there is any concluding remark, any type of critics or any additions, any type of suggestions, or anything that you would like to say as the last word before we say bye to each other.
I would like to say that it was a very good experience, such online conference. Thank you for organization.
Of course, thank you for coming.
For the support, and hope next time to see face to face.
Yeah.
In real conference.
In Izmir or in Sofia or somewhere in Balkan areas.
Why not?
Yes. All right. So let me say the last words then. First of all, I would like to thank to Melih. Without him, it will be impossible for me to achieve. But now he is busy because tomorrow will be a curfew in Turkey. We are going to be locked down for the next 4 days because next Tuesday we have a Republic Day, a national feast in Turkey. And then over the next week we have the Bayram, Ramazan Bayram, which is like, you know, the religious feast. Where we have 9 days of curfew at home. Yeah, we'll be locked down for 9 days long. I'm so glad because I'm living in a place with a swimming pool and then and the, you know, sauna and everything. So I'm just a little bit lucky with that. But you know, it will be really difficult for this 9 days. What are we gonna do? I don't know. So maybe we'll think about the next Congress. We'll see.
Yes.
And admire about it. Anyway, so I first of all would like to thank to Melih, and I would like to say one word about the person that we dedicate the symposium. We had a colleague who passed away last year. His name was Tibet Aksel. I have put his picture at the beginning of our abstract booklet. Maybe some of you do not know him, but some of you, perhaps Claire and Annie, knew him very well because he was the editor of the French journal Anatolia Antiqua for a long time, and he also worked in many years in Portalski, in Cappadocia. And he passed away all of a sudden. He was a great fan of Thessaloniki. He was singing in the church choir of Thessaloniki, not far from the White Tower, actually. And when we were together in Istanbul, in Pera, in Beyoğlu, we were always talking about Selanik and their people. And yes, he was always telling good things about that people. And yeah, he was a really nice guy. He was a really nice guy, and he passed away last year, all of a sudden. So we dedicated this conference to him. Hopefully this virus will not really be sort of, you know, dangerous for any colleague of us, and we will continue with our job with any trouble for the future. So thank you for everybody to participate, and yeah, see you hopefully soon in Izmir or anywhere in Istanbul or anywhere in Turkey or in Greece, okay? So teşekkürler, and see you later.
Teşekkürler.
Bye-bye.
Very exciting. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, take care.